Is shame affecting how you present yourself to the world? Is shame blocking you from receiving abundance? In this episode, we dive into shame, how it may be showing up in your life, and 6 ways to release it. Welcome to the Abundance Hack Show, where we are inspiring you to tap into your power to manifest the happiness, success, and fulfillment that you desire. I am your host, Niajae, the Upper Limit Coach. I am here to dismantle your limiting beliefs and remove the blocks so you can confidently live your life's purpose, because life is meant to be abundant. Hey M&Ms, thank you for tuning in to the Abundance Hack Show. What are you manifesting in your life today? I have to be honest with you, I had a completely different podcast episode prepared for today, and then I had a moment where I felt like life hit me with a truck. Don't you love when that happens? But I haven't done a Niajae Unfiltered episode in a while, so it's probably overdue. So I am putting off the episode that I had prepared for today, which is chakra balancing, talking about balancing your chakras with sound therapy. I'm putting it off until my next solo episode to really dive into what I'm feeling today. And I felt it was important because I want to share this message while it's tender so it could really land rather than waiting 2 weeks and then I'm kind of over it. So I had a moment where I realized I had some shame around some things in my life. And shame is not something that's really been on my radar or a word that I've ever actually said until I started diving into Brené Brown's content. And when I realized how much we all carry shame around certain things and how shame can be the thing that's standing in the way of the abundance that you desire, I was like, oh, we have to talk about this. We have to talk about this. If you've been listening to this podcast, you know I am someone who likes to address the elephant in a room. And one of the things that I've realized lately is I address the tiny elephant in the room because I've always considered myself someone who takes a situation head on. But I realized that I've done it in a safe zone. And there's so many topics that I feel so passionately about that I want to start diving into. So in this episode, we're going to dive into shame around body image, sexual desires, and money. And these are things that people are not comfortable talking about. Sometimes I'm not comfortable talking about, but it's dialogue that needs to be started. So first off, what is shame? Brené Brown defines shame as an intensely painful feeling or experience of believing that we are flawed and therefore unworthy of love and belonging. It's an emotion that affects us all and has profoundly shaped the way we interact with the world. So this runs so deep, and one of the first things I want to mention is society basically says we're broken. And I used to say this myself. I used to say we're all broken. And if you internalize that, that can send you the message, and the subconscious message. It's not always in the forefront of our mind, but it could send you the subconscious message that you are unworthy of love. You're not enough, and it's because you're broken. So we build shame around different areas of our lives that basically shape how we show up. It shapes what we go for. It shapes the type of person we think we deserve in a romantic relationship. It shapes the rates we charge in our business. And when you can really dive into where you are harboring shame in your life and release it, it is going to open up so many doors and so much infinite possibility of abundance and joy and success and happiness and all the yumminess that I always talk about on this show. So I really wanted to dive into this. And when you realize how much damage shame does, you definitely don't want to harbor it anymore. So shame can cause addiction, depression, anxiety, eating disorders, perfectionism. That's definitely me. Perfectionism or other compulsive behaviors, chronic pain, digestive issues, and social phobias. So do you want any of this? No. So if we could get to the roots of it, then why not do that? So let's dive in. One of the first areas that I want to talk about shame in is body image. And I actually mentioned this on my podcast episode because I saw a video of a really amazing, beautiful, high vibe woman, and she was dancing, but she had on bikini bottoms and pasties, and she was dancing so freely, and it didn't matter that she was half naked. I'm not offended by nudity at all. Like, I like walking around my house naked, so nudity doesn't offend me at all, but I was so drawn to this video, and I had to just take a moment and be like, what is it about this video that is pulling me in, and my inner being cannot stop saying watch this video. And I did a really thoughtful, well, at least I thought I was thoughtful, post about it on Facebook where I'm like, was it the fact that she was dancing because dance is my first love, or was it the fact that she was pretty much half naked? Because we have so many stigmas around body and body image and what a woman should look like, and if a woman is showing her body, what that says about her, and if it gives a man permission to touch her or treat her or say something a certain way or look at her a certain way. There's so much shame around body image, so much shame around our bodies, period. And I think a lot of it comes from religion. We're supposed to dress a certain way and cover up. And, this was something that really hit home for me when I started to dive into it, because I know I've been told by women that I dress too sexy. Like, you're not going to get a man because you dress too sexy. And let me be very clear, when they may not have said you are not going to get a man, they implied that no one's going to want to settle down with me and marry me because I dress sexy. Okay, so yeah, men are going to want to date you and take you home, but a man is not going to want to marry you because you dress sexy. Or women are not going to want to work with you in business because you dress sexy, or you always have your boobs out, or your cleavage is low. When I tell you, there are moments where if you could just be like, F you, get out my face, that's a moment that I'd want to say that, because it's a lot of times when people are saying things like this, they're projecting their own shame on you, okay? So one of the things that I realized about this post that I saw, and I'm so grateful that I just allowed myself to be in that moment, because a lot of times we're drawn to certain things that we feel strongly about, but we're moving so fast, we don't give ourselves time to really understand, why am I feeling a connection or some type of download to this specific thing. And I think that her liberation inspired me. And it's not that I want to be on Instagram half naked, because I have no desire to do that, but I want to be comfortable to wear whatever the hell I want to wear and not have someone tell me that they think I won't get married or I won't get a female client because I have on a shirt that they consider too revealing or too low cut or too sexy. Okay, so it's really, really interesting where you have people like Kim Kardashian who, or any of the Kardashian or Jenner sisters, where they dress extremely sexy and women applaud it. I'm sure that there's some people that don't, but for the most part, a large percentage of women applaud it. But then you have women in just real life that people want to be like, oh no, don't be too sexy. So a lot of times people project their own shame and their own insecurities and their own pre-programming on others. And we have to let it end. It has to stop. It has to stop, because it affects us. And I'm a pretty confident woman, but it weighs on me. It's like a little ice pick, chipping away at an iceberg. And there was a time in my life where I changed the way I dressed, because I let people get in my head and I stored that stuff subconsciously. And what I realized when I did the post on Facebook and I had people reach out to me. And what I realized is there's a whole entire community of people that are on Instagram naked. This is a new thing to me. I don't know when this trend started, but they have really thoughtful, empowering captions, and they talk about liberation and transformation and how they went through some type of awakening. And it was just like, I'm just gonna be in nature because we came into this earth naked. So like, why should you be ashamed of your naked body? So I'm not advocating go on Instagram naked, but I am inviting you to explore where you may have shame around body or body image. And I know that a lot of people struggle with weight and just eating and dieting and nutrition and working out. So this issue runs so deep, and I'm just scratching the surface. And what I want to do is invite more guests on where we can dive into this and have different perspectives, because, I'm a thin woman with nice boobs, and my boobs are real. That's a whole nother thing that I brought up, that women assume that my boobs are fake. So like, being judged, like I'm someone on that end of the spectrum where I'm confident in my body. I love my body, and I'm constantly being judged because of how I dress and because of how, I choose to show up in the world. So, and that's just me wearing low cut shirts. So I can only imagine what these women that are like naked or half naked on Instagram are receiving from people. Like, they must get hate mail. I don't even know, but I'm actually interviewing the woman that I'm referring to in a few weeks, and it probably won't air until season 3 of Abundance Hack. But I want to start the dialogue because we have to stop judging people. If you don't want to go on Instagram and be half naked, more power to you. If you don't want to wear a low cut shirt because you're a mom and you feel like that's not appropriate, more power to you. But don't judge me or anyone else who's doing so. Period. Don't project your shame on anyone else. And this is not a slap on the wrist. This is bringing awareness. And for me as well, where am I projecting any of my shame onto anyone else? And it's just an opportunity for us to take a good look at, do I feel this way about body image, and so now I'm judging the next person? Because usually when we judge someone, it's because we have our own shame that we're projecting. So it's not a slap on a wrist. It's a moment just to be aware. It's creating awareness, and like I literally have chills through my body right now. So it's creating awareness so we can choose to be more loving and accepting of ourselves, so we can be more loving and accepting of others. So like I said, this is just scratching the surface on body issues, but in the upcoming interviews, I am going to interview people about these topics that I feel so strongly about. And I'm so grateful for that Instagram video, and also just allowing myself to be present and dive into like, okay, why is this stirring something up in me? And really just diving into that, because we go so fast. And this is obviously help of my coach, because she tells me to pause and, be still and be present all the time. And also my partner, he reminds me to be still and present, and it's okay. So I am extremely grateful for the people in my life that remind me, because if you don't know, my sun sign is Capricorn, but I have a moon and rising. It's a really funny story. I'm going to get off track just for a moment here to tell you. I thought that my rising sign was Aries, but my rising sign is actually Cancer. And I'm a Cancer moon as well. So I have a double Cancer in my chart. And Capricorn and Cancer are opposing signs. Opposing. So if I ever seem crazy, that's why. Because it's literally like my Capricorn brain is like, go, 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 go. And then my Cancer is like, oh, just be still. Lay in bed, look at your plants, journal, watch the sunset, drink some tea. And then my Capricorn is like, what are you doing? Get back to work. Go, go, go. So if I ever seem crazy, that's why. But I'm very grateful for the people in my life. And yes, I do have a partner. So I know I talk about me being single all the time, but Niajae is officially off the market. So my partner is absolutely amazing and reminds me to be present. And I have a really phenomenal coach that pushes me to my growth edge and is helping me grow so amazingly. Is that a word? It's a word today if it's not. But helping me grow so much, and I'm so grateful for the people in my life. So that is the first topic that I want to talk about, shame around his body image. And the next one is sexual desires. So obviously, when you're in a relationship, sex comes up and it's something you have to discuss, and it's something that, you do, and we all do it. And that was one of the main things that I was talking about when I did this whole post about just seeing, like this woman just being so free. It's like we all have bodies. We all, like, women have boobs, and, we all have these things. So, like, why have they become so taboo? Sex is one of those things where, like, everyone has sex, but it's so taboo to talk about. It's so taboo to talk about. Or you're uncomfortable talking to friends or even your partner or spouse about, like, sexual health, for example. Like, why are these conversations uncomfortable when they're conversations that have to be had? So again, I have someone lined up to definitely talk about the stigmas around sex and sexual health and having that conversation with your partner. And I think these are conversations that need to be had. It's dialogue that needs to be started. It shouldn't be taboo to talk about these types of things, because think about it. If you think that it's bad to talk about it, then you probably think it's bad to do it. And even if on the surface you're like, ooh, I really want to do it, but internally you kind of feel like, this is kind of taboo or wrong or bad, just think about the discord that that's creating in your body. Feeling bad about your sexual desires, or feeling like it's nasty or wrong or disgusting. Like, I don't know how people were raised in different religions. I was raised with a family that was very open sexually. Like, my mom is like, all right, you're old enough. I mean, I probably was like, I don't know, like 13. And she's like, you're old enough to talk about sex. So this is what it is. This is what you do. Make sure you protect yourself. All right, do you have any questions? My mom is like very, very direct. And at the time, I'm like, ew, Mom, like, ew, do we really have to have this conversation? But I'm so grateful that we did, because I never grew up with any type of shame around sex until probably an adult, becoming an adult and hearing stories or thinking that, like, okay, this is wrong or that is wrong. And, having women say, like, I'm never going to get married because I wear low cut shirts and my cleavage is showing. Like, it creates then because what it does is it says, okay, well, I need to be more sophisticated, or I need to be more girl next door-ish, and let me change who I am. So it's so much of society saying you are unworthy of love or belonging because of who you are or how you dress or how you show up in the world. It's not okay. It is not okay. It is not okay. I invite you to really think about in your life where you have shame around sex, around sexual desires, around relationships. And I know, like, when to have sex in a relationship is a huge thing. Like, do you have sex on a first date? Do you feel bad about having sex on a first date? And I think that this is a topic that we're going to be able to do so many episodes on, because there's so many different perspectives. And I know there's women that want to take control of their sexuality and be able to have one night stands or hookups with guys because a guy can do it, so why can't I? But I think that it's extremely damaging. And I think that society, again, has sent the message to women that you have to be loose or free or willing to be in a situationship in order to get a man. If you're too clingy, if you lead with the fact that you want marriage or you want a family or you want to be in a relationship, you're going to run the guy off. Again, society leading women to believe that they are unworthy of love or belonging if they act this way or show up this way or say these things. It's not okay. You guys, I literally, look, Niajae Unfiltered was so overdue. It was so overdue. I think that so much has built up. And when I said I had that moment where I felt like I got hit by a truck, is because I have been holding so much of this in because I wanted to kind of strategically weave it in, but I had to get some of this stuff off my chest, and it is just scratching the surface. Like I said, I have so many amazing episodes coming up that's diving deeper into these topics. All right, so that was sexual desires. I have one more thing that I want to discuss around shame. Have you ever thought, who am I to write a book, start a podcast, or create an online course? Have you ever been hesitant to share your gifts with the world because you were afraid of what people would say or think? It is time to stop hiding your magic from the world. Go to niajae.com/decadent to download the 6 steps to a decadent you so you can gain clarity around your purpose, have courage to stand in your truth, build confidence to step into your power, and shine your light bright unapologetically. Go to niajae.com/decadent so you can take the steps towards thriving in your fullest expression. The next one is money. This is something that I've been diving into a lot in my life and my business, because I took a break from filling my pipeline of coaching clients to create content. And it brought up so much for me, because not making the money that I'm used to making on the surface felt really wrong. And I had so many things come up, like so much of my self-worth was tied to my business. So if I'm not making money, you can imagine what that does to my self-worth. However, it's not that I wasn't making money because I wasn't getting business. I literally set aside time to create evergreen content. So what I mean by evergreen content, like if you think Abraham Hicks, she has decades worth of recordings and books and audio tapes and guided meditations, like decades of it. So I am I am creating a catalog of work like that. So sound therapy recordings, guided meditations, like digital products that's helping people transform and tap into the best version of themselves. So I found myself in this push and pull, like this kind of hamster wheel of, all right, I'm going to create some content, but then I'd have so many clients that I had to do my client work because they paid me. And so I'd put my stuff on the back burner, and I was just like, okay, no, I'm going to set aside this time to give myself to just create content and not worry about making money. But the Capricorn brain in me is like, oh my God, you got to make money. Oh my God, you got to make money. Oh my God, you got to make money. And then my Cancer is over here like, just create from a place of alignment and everything else will fall into place. Do you hear, like, I want to go back and listen to this to hear the difference in the voices, even when I say that. It's so funny. But I was in that space of like, okay, like, you know, I'm not making this money, but it's for a reason, because I'm building, I'm creating. It takes time. Like when people invest in writing a book, like that takes time, and you create the best when you don't have that pressure of trying to spread yourself too thin, handling clients and creating. So anyway, it caused me to really take a good look at how I feel about the coaching industry. And I had to really be honest with myself and admit to myself that I'm pretty disgusted at the coaching industry. And I'm going to explain as quickly as possible why, so I don't drag this out. Basically, we live in a society where people are infatuated with making 6 and 7 figures, or 10K a month is definitely like a buzz phrase. 10K a month, 10K a month. Like if you go on social media or Facebook, you see it everywhere. 10K a month, or 6-figure business, 7-figure coaching business. Like these are buzzwords. Now, I worked for ClickFunnels for a year because I wanted to learn the ins and outs of sales funnels, online courses, membership sites, like online business basically. And when I was doing tech support for them, I could see people's back ends. So there were times where people would go on Facebook and be like, oh, I'm making, I just launched this program and 74 people signs up, and in reality, 7 people signed up for their program. Or there's coaches that like are not filling their program, but then they get on Facebook and feel the need to be like, oh, so much is happening in my group and all these wins and blah, 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 blah. And to me, it's a huge integrity piece that is causing me to feel the way that I feel about the coaching industry. Here's the reality. There are coaches making that, like making 6 figures, making 7 figures. But here's some questions that I really want people to think about. 1, are they happy? 2, are they healthy? Because I know people that are working themselves to burn out and they don't have a good quality of life and they're not happy. They're not enjoying the money that they're making because they're working 24/7. So this was an area that I had to explore in my own life. And that's why I don't talk about anything that I haven't gone through myself. I had to not attach my self-worth to my business, to how much money I was making. This was the most powerful thing for me to learn in self-worth. Like these are things I had to really explore. And do I feel worthy of abundance if I'm not working myself to death in my business? You know what I mean? Like we are worthy even without working ourselves to burnout. Not saying be lazy, because I do not condone that. But the reality is there are people that literally just want to make, $2,000-$3,000 a month. And there's some coaches that are only making $2,000 or $3,000 a month. Some not even that. So if we stop pretending from a place of shame, because that's what it is, it's shame. If you feel like I have to pretend that I'm making this amount of money to get clients, first of all, are those the clients that you want? You want clients that are only attracted to you because you're lying about how much money you make? Let that sink in. And 2, even if you are making that amount of money, are you happy? Are you healthy? So for me, I prioritize a good quality of life. And I learned this the hard way. The reason why I feel passionately about this is because I had a brick and mortar business. When I owned my dance and aerial studio, I was making 6 figures easy. But you know what? I was burnt out. I was unhappy and I was unhealthy. I drink pre-workout every day. And no offense to anyone who drinks pre-workout, but I was like addicted to it. You know how people are like addicted to coffee? I probably was addicted to coffee at one point, but coffee would make me crash. And then I discovered pre-workout. So pre-workout is just a little powder you put in your water before you're about to work out. So I realized pre-workout gave me more energy than coffee and I wouldn't have a crash. So as a business owner who also taught classes in the studio and ran everything, I was like, oh, pre-workout is my best friend. And then I'd go home and drink wine. Is that a good quality of life? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I was working 7 days a week. I lived for vacation, like literally counting days until my next vacation as soon as I got back. And even on my vacation, glued to my phone. So it's not a good quality of life, in my personal opinion. we need a little more integrity in the coaching industry and a little more honesty. Like if someone said, you know what, I only made $75,000 in my coaching business this last year, but you know what? I take days off. I relax and spend time with my partner or my kids or my fur babies, and I have a relaxing life and I could serve my clients feeling my best. That is something to post about. That is something to post about. I would respect that coach way more than a coach that's claiming they're making 6 or 7 figures or 20, 30, 40K a month, and they seem stressed out and strung out all the time, you know? And I have a lot, a lot of frustration built up around the coaching industry because I've been coaching for a while. And when I was building sales funnels, I was building them for coaches. So I was dealing with the back end of coaches, like basically being like an online business manager for coaches for a really long time. So I got to see the back end, and what people put out on social media did not match up to the back end. So it really put a bad taste in my mouth for the coaching industry. So there's so much shame around money. I don't think that that's healthy. I don't think it's healthy. I think that people that are like, oh, I just made, 50K with this launch. Okay, first of all, are they being honest? If they're not being honest, you are basically sending a message to your inner being and the universe that you're not happy where you are. And how are you going to allow any abundance to come in if you are putting energy towards exaggerating or lying? So if you are telling the truth, let me back up. Now, how other people feel, like other people being threatened by someone's success, that's a totally different thing. But I'm specifically talking about coaches that are using this as a selling tactic. So I do believe that we are allowed and we should celebrate our wins, celebrate ourselves, celebrate our gifts, celebrate our hard work. Totally for that. But specifically using this as a selling tactic to get clients, I think it's harmful. Because what happens is if someone is trying to leave their 9-to-5 job where they make, let's just say $4K a month, and they want to start a coaching business because now they're like, oh, well, I can make $10K a month coaching, and I think I'm going to be able to do it in 30, 60, or 90 days. It's not usually reality if they don't have an email list or whatever. So then they sign up and they're going through this process, and then it creates a bunch of shame around them because they're like, oh, well, everyone else is making all this money, so why am I not making this money? It creates shame, and then they feel unworthy of the success or the money, and it's this ripple effect where some of the people are even lying. So like you're guiding someone on how to make money when you're not even making this money. All right, you guys, let me get off my soapbox. So what I'm saying here is I invite you to explore where you may have shame around money, the money you're making, the money you're not making, and really being able to hold space. I know I have a lot of coaches that listen to me, really being able to hold space for clients or potential clients without creating shame in them. Now, obviously, you are not responsible for how people respond to your material, but I just feel, and this is just my personal feeling because we're entitled to our opinions. I feel using money like, oh, I just made 10K or 100K or 7 figures, or my client just made 30K. I feel like it's manipulative and it's doing more damage than good. I said it. And I hold in so much of what I feel to not offend anyone. But in the process, I'm causing myself discord. And I am almost betraying my inner being. Your inner being knows how you feel. And then when you try to like tiptoe around it or skate around it or suppress it or sweep it under a rug, that's what creates trapped emotions. And that's what causes illness. And I'm not doing that. I'm not betraying myself for anyone. So that's how I feel. So I've been pretty disconnected from the coaching industry for that reason. And I think that there needs to be more integrity. Are there amazing coaches out there? Of course. I have an amazing coach. I know plenty of amazing coaches, but there's more that are using these manipulative sales tactics that has people feeling the need to lie about how much money they're making, exaggerate, or work themselves to burnout because they're trying to match up to what someone else says that they're making. Or if they don't make it, they're feeling really bad about themselves and beating themselves up, but then getting on social media and putting their best foot forward and saying life is great. We have to stop it. We have to stop it. And if you're a coach that only made $3,000 this past month, like, don't feel bad about that. Own where you are, embrace where you are, accept where you are, release the shame around it because it's not healthy. It's not healthy. Definitely celebrate you. If you had a great month and you're making 6 or 7 figures, worthy of celebrating. But I do feel like if you're using it for a sales tactic, that's a different energy. It's a different energy. So I know it's common, but just because everyone else is doing it, it doesn't make it right. And I will say, I don't necessarily believe in right or wrong. Everyone just has their own preference of what feels good and what resonates with them. And that specific sales tactic does not resonate with me. I'm not saying it's wrong because that could be why people are signing up for your services, but it just doesn't resonate with me. So I just wanted to address that because it is a lot of shame around money and it runs deep. Like I said, these are just me scratching the surface because we have money blocks because of what our parents said to us. And, it definitely runs deep, and we will dive into more about shame pertaining to money in future episodes. So I would absolutely love, love, love to hear your feedback on any shame pertaining to body image, any shame pertaining to sexual desires or sex in general, any shame pertaining to money. If you have a question, if you have a topic that you would like me to discuss, definitely let me know so we can start the dialogue. All right, so once you identify you have shame, then what? I have 6 ways to help you release that shame. So number 1 is connecting to your intuition. We come into the world connected to our intuition, doing what feels right to us, doing what we think is going to make us happy in that moment as children. And then the world comes along and says, no, don't do this. No, you can't do that. No, that's not okay. And then we stop listening to our intuition because we're told that our intuition is wrong. So when we go through transformation or healing, we're basically connecting back to our intuition, learning to listen to ourselves all over again. And that is going to help you just release the shame and trust that whatever comes up for a reason. Trusting your feelings, trusting your desires, trusting your direction. There's a lot that I had to work through of I feel I need to go in this direction, and then I realize everyone else is going in this direction, so am I wrong? Should I not be going in that direction? But I'm a little bit of a rebel, so I'm like, whatever, I'm going to keep going the way I want to go. But usually it always leads me to something really magical. So just really trusting yourself and connecting to your intuition and trusting the universe, so connecting to your intuition is connecting to your inner being, your higher self, and divine guidance. So really making sure you have that morning practice, that meditation, whatever healing modality resonates with you to where you are connecting to your intuition. Number 2 is engage in self-expression. This is why I love that video so much. It was her in her self-expression unapologetically, and I freaking loved it. So self-expression is going to look different for everyone. You know, maybe you're a painter, maybe you're a writer, maybe you're a singer. Like everyone's self-expression is different. So identifying what self-expression feels amazing to you, what is your creative outlet, and doing that. Doing it as often as possible, as unapologetically as possible. Number 3 is own your story. This is powerful, and there's so many layers to this. So I had to really get clear on my story, you know? And then once I got clear on, all right, this happened, this happened, this happened, this probably contributed to why I am the way I am, or why this is a trigger for me or whatever. And then I had to ask myself, is this perspective serving me? Is this perspective serving me? And there was something my coach actually reframed for me that was extremely powerful. She just was like, Niajae, you are not a wounded, abandoned child anymore. Like, stop going to that place. Because what I did, I owned my story, and then I got so attached to it that every time I had an emotion, I would take it back and justify it because of my story. You know what that is? It's a victim mindset, and there's different layers of it, because we just talked about victim mindset, and I'm not someone that has like a woe is me, like, oh, life is so hard victim mindset. But I do justify I don't want to say actions, but my feelings, like feelings that I don't necessarily want to feel. I justify it because of my childhood. But do you know how old I am? I'm not going to say it if you don't know. But at my age, there is no justification with what happened in your childhood. There is a point where we have to take personal responsibility for our own personal growth. And you cannot keep using what happened to you in your childhood as an excuse. At some age, it becomes an excuse. It becomes a victim mindset. And I only say this because, like, I never want anyone to feel like I'm slapping them on the wrist, but this is the work that I had to do to really be able to have the beautiful, amazing life that I have, and to be able to create from a place of alignment and not from a place of fear and scarcity and shame. You know, this is the work that you have to do to find that fulfillment and be able to gravitate towards your purpose and not have all these blocks standing in the way. So yeah, really owning your story, but not staying attached to it. Like it's almost like, okay, honor it, acknowledge it, thank it for it contributing to who you are today, and move on. Move on. And ask yourself, is this perspective serving you? Because there's times where we have a certain way that we like to tell our stories where we're the victim. I like to ask my clients, are you the victim or are you the hero? So I could tell a story about how in 12 years of grade school, I went to 11 different schools. My mom moved every year, and, you know, woe is me. Like, that's why it was difficult for me to learn how to keep friends, because I was always moving. So I'm really great at making friends, but I'm not great at keeping friends. That's a victim point of view, right? I could say, yeah, my mom moved every month, kind of like we were in the army, but it helped me create really amazing skills, because now I can walk into any environment and make friends with anyone because I'm so used to adapting to my surroundings. Boom. Look at that perspective shift. Same story, but one, I'm a victim, the other, I'm a hero. So ask yourself, oh my God, I got chills. Ask yourself, are you the victim or the hero in your story? Is your story, the way you're telling your story, is it serving you? So powerful, you guys. All right, number 4 is allow yourself to be vulnerable. I'll tell you something really funny. So the moment where I felt like I got hit by a truck, right? My coach said I was going through a vulnerability hangover. So, you know, I'm in a relationship now, and like relationships and love, it's the thing that's going to bring your stuff to the surface the fastest. And some people suppress it and they keep their relationships really shallow and surface. I'm not that person. I'm like, oh yeah, bring it on. Like, let's heal this shit. So I've been working a lot on really opening up and really allowing myself to be vulnerable. The Cancer rising and moon is loving it. And yeah, so I had a moment where I was like, oh my God, too much vulnerability, too much intimacy, like everything in my body hurts right now. But it's so good because once you release that shame and that pain and that trauma, whew, let me just tell you, like today I feel amazing. And the more that I talk about this through this episode, the better I'm feeling because I am releasing stuff that has been like built up inside of me for so long. And this podcast is part of my self-expression. So yeah, I mean, allowing yourself to be vulnerable, allowing yourself to express yourself and being unapologetic about that. So there's going to be people that are not going to like what you say. There's going to be people that are not going to agree with you. And that's okay. That's okay. So one of the things I talk about in my Decadent Academy is having social courage. And social courage is the ability to stand in your truth, even at the risk of disapproval or rejection, even at the risk. So some people are not going to like the things that I said in this episode. That is okay. And the person that it's meant to land with, it will land, period. Number 5 is practice self-love. So there's layers to this. You have self-love, you have self-acceptance, and you have self-compassion. These are things that I work on, and I honor myself when I check in every morning. What do you need? What do you need to feel your best? What do you need to show up your best? And if I'm like, I need some self-love or some self-compassion, I honor that. And I've gotten in the habit of rearranging my day when I need to and not pushing myself. My Capricorn hates that because my Capricorn is used to pushing. When I honor the times where I say, okay, I need some self-care, some self-love, when I honor that, I show up for work and whatever I'm doing so much better because I took time to fill my cup. So it's really, really important that you practice that self-love, that self-acceptance and self-compassion and self-care and really fill your cup. And my mantra or motto for this year is serve from your overflow. Serve from your overflow. And that was really hard for me to actually implement in my life, but it's so powerful because I feel like when I honor, okay, I need to fill my cup, I show up so much better. All right, so last but definitely not least, the way you can release shame is align your solar plexus. So solar plexus, the shadow side of your solar plexus chakra is shame. So if you are experiencing shame and it's coming to the surface, doing some type of solar plexus work. So I definitely have some sound therapy recordings. You can check those out or go to YouTube and pop in binaural beats, solar plexus or solar plexus guided meditation. There's different ways that you can do that, but that is the shadow side of the solar plexus chakra. So definitely want to keep that chakra aligned. It's so powerful. So really quick recap, 6 ways that you can release shame. Number 1 is connect to your intuition. Number 2 is engage in self-expression. Number 3 is own your story. Number 4 is allow yourself to be vulnerable. Number 5 is practice self-love. And number 6 is align your solar plexus. So I hope you found value in this. If you did, definitely share it with someone that you think may need to hear this and let me know. Let me know what came up for you. Let me know if this resonated or if you had an aha moment. Even if you don't agree, let me know respectfully because it's not all about just what I think. I want to hear what you think as well. The purpose of me doing this is to start the dialogue, to open the conversation so we can talk about this. I want to hear your perspective. It's important that you share your perspective with me. So thank you so much for allowing me to come on unfiltered and pour my heart and soul out to you, M&Ms. I hope that you enjoy it. And I hope that it gives you courage to stand in your truth and share your voice. And until next time, be decadent. Thank you for tuning in to the Abundance Hack Show. I would love to hear from you. Leave your comments and questions, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of our yummy episodes. Every time you leave a 5-star rating or review, I do my happy dance.